Well, it's certainly not a happy occasion, but we are live here on the Calcio Connection podcast, connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. And no, we did not coordinate our wardrobe, but all three of us, despite today's result, which was very disappointing, Jerry, Sean, and myself, we are all repping the Azzurri. So the situation, guys, it's eerily familiar to 2018 as Italy will head back to a playoff to decide World Cup qualification. We hope it goes better than it went 4 years ago, of course. And I certainly trust the manager in Mancini more than I trusted Ventura, that absolute bum. But this is still really, really tough. So Italy had a 0-0 draw today at Northern Ireland. Meanwhile, Switzerland cruised to the top of the group with a 4-0 win over Bulgaria. So Switzerland took care of their business. Italy bottled it today. Was it 4 or was it 3?
4.
4. Yeah, it was 4. Yeah, it was 4.
We need to win 2-0 then in order to qualify then, right?
I think we would have had to have won 3-0 because I think Switzerland had the next tiebreaker after goal differential. So we would have had to win 3-0 as it turned out. And listen, some people predicted a 3-0 or a 4-0 win for the Azzurri, and they couldn't even get a goal today. I'm Alex Donno alongside, as always, Jerry Mancini. Jerry, let's introduce our guest, and then I will let Jerry say his piece because I know Jerry's frustrated. We have the pleasure of being joined by a good friend of this podcast and an awesome friend to the Lazio community, Sean McIntosh. Sean, good evening, sir. Outside of today's result, I hope you're doing well.
Doing well outside of, today's, unfortunately, I had a gut feeling. But outside of that, everything is great.
Yeah, outside of that, life is good, right? I mean,
yeah.
And, on the one hand, it's like, sports are not real life, but these things do bug me. I mean, I cheer for teams in just about every sport imaginable, and when they let me down, it's really, really tough. And Jerry Mancini, we were already getting accused, and he may have something here. My guy, Brooklyn Rob, he's very superstitious, and he calls me the mush. He calls you mushato. Now, I can confirm I definitely mushed Italy against Switzerland on Friday because I very confidently bet Italy on the money line to win that game. And then I thought, when Jorginho's stepping up to the penalty spot, we got this. The bet's going to come through. We're going to qualify. And then we saw what happened there. So I tried to do my part today. I made, several human sacrifices today. I did not bet a dime on this game, on any side, on any total. I didn't bet any props. I just let this one go. So I did my part on Friday to mush the Azzurri. I'm wondering, Jerry Mancini. Oh, and we also, we're going to welcome in Vito Doria to the panel as well in a second. But Jerry, I was not a part of the episode that you did on this channel with a couple of great guests on Sunday, and I did not get a chance to watch it. My Sunday was very, very busy with NFL duties. Otherwise, I would have been right there with you. What did you predict would happen today? Because Brooklyn Rob watched your episode on Sunday, and he is very confident that even though I mushed Italy on Friday, you were the culprit for today's game.
I was confident in today's game only for one reason, Roberto Mancini. And you know what? At the end of the day, it happens. We left it to the last game. We should have buried this, 4 games ago? But guess what?
Yep.
The last game that Italy played, shit the bed because we didn't have Ciro. And the game before that, I believe he wasn't in the lineup either, and they shit the bed. Unless that was against the Nations League versus Spain, actually. My point is, you can, look, if Jorginho makes the penalty, we make it. We don't talk about this. Not true, man. You can't leave luck. Like, we had our chances to win that game against Switzerland. I think we had a lot of open play chances. We dropped points earlier, and we can say, oh, Cheeto didn't score. But guess what? I guarantee in those games there are other players who could have not scored. 11 out of our 16 points came with Cheeto in the lineup. I hope people understand that.
Donno, your boy Barella certainly had a big chance last match, and there the blame goes around. There's plenty for
Yeah.
everyone.
but
no
my
different.
thing is, guys, you step up to the penalty spot. That's like 95%. Like it's one thing to me. Like, yeah, we've had several players, including Barella, including Insigne today, and Chiesa. Like, how many guys have we had bottle chances from open play? But a guy who used to be a clutch money penalty kick taker steps up to win the game 95% from the penalty spot. You know, a guy who helped us win the Euros before he missed the one in the helped us win the Euros with penalties. Now he's missed 3 in a row. Like, you know, I can understand why people want to put some of this on Jorginho. And listen, hear me out for a second, guys, because there are hold on one second. There are ridiculous people on both sides of the fence on social media. Social media is just the worst place. It's full of terrible, terrible people. Like, there are some people who are just awful fucking human beings who are like, oh, fuck Jorginho. This guy's not even Italian anymore. He's Brazilian. No, screw you. Shut the hell up. But then people on the other side who are like drawing murals of this guy and like, oh, I'm going to be praying for him and his family. Like, dude, he's missed 3 penalties in a row. Like, Jorginho's a fine player. I'm very rational about this. I love Jorginho. Jorginho is very important to the Azzurri. Like, he is, I think, a very underrated player. I would call him a world-class player. A lot of people would disagree. All I'm saying is, don't let this guy take penalty kicks anymore. That's all I'm saying.
That you're right, but you know whose fault that is? It's not Jorginho's. That's Mancini's fault.
Okay,
I mean, at the end of the day, Jorginho had the guts to go up and take it, and we know not all players have that. But that's on Mancini to, one, protect the player, to tell him, look, you're not going to take them. The second they started talking about how Jorginho has had to change, his approach in a penalty as a manager, that's when you say, okay, we're not going to have you take these until we feel there's a level of confidence. And when you're changing your style and your approach and taking penalties, that confidence isn't there. So for me, that blame goes to Mancini to put somebody else in there. And who knows, maybe nobody else wanted to step up and take it. For all we know, we don't know what those conversations are like. But if I'm blaming somebody for the Jorginho miss, it's Mancini.
That's a good point.
I think we're not looking at another point here though too. Who's to say that anybody else would score? Because that's top 5 goalkeeper or top 10 in Switzerland, Sommer. And that is a quality goalkeeper who was having a great game against Italy again on Friday. And when he's at his best, he is really hard to break down. And that's like I was saying on the pod yesterday, there are players like Immobile where he's amazing at penalty kicks. But when he steps up to Chesney, he's been denied before. And sometimes the matchup is like there are better goalkeepers. There are goalkeepers who just have players' number and know how to stop. And I think Sommer was a goalkeeper who got in the head of Jorginho and probably could have gotten to the head of many other players just because he was so good on his game and just overly confident. I think we got to look that into consideration as well. I don't think it's squarely just because Jorginho missed the shot. I think there are other factors, and at the end of the day, it's like these things happen. Like I was saying, and Sean's right. It is on Roberto Mancini, but at the same time, it is also on the players on the pitch.
Oh yeah,
deciding, because at the end of the day, Roberto Mancini probably has his number one. But when the players are on the pitch, they're probably discussing as well of who's going to take it, how they feel. I think there was an instance of a team where a certain player wanted to take a penalty but was denied, and he took it. I know I'm talking gibberish right now, but it can't come to the top of my head. I feel like it was like Argentina, or maybe it was Juventus actually, where in their last match against Fiorentina or something like that, or Juventus game where Chiesa wanted to take the penalty, but he wasn't allowed to take the penalty because they have like their spot kicker. So there are instances like that where maybe it's better just not to have that friction, right? So I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember there was a game where 2 players were altercating, and at the end of the day, it ended up being the person who's supposed to be taking the penalty. But these things happen, guys. And hey, I have nothing else to say about Jorginho because he's Ballon d'Or candidate. Like the guy's won He scored. Here's another thing. It's so hard to criticize him because he scored the hardest goal of his life, probably the penalty kick winner versus in the final versus England. I think people are forgetting that too.
And no, he scored the one against Spain. He missed the final. He missed the one.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. My apologies. Yeah, you're right, Sean.
It was the clinching one against Spain in the semis. Yep.
Well, let me introduce the fourth member of our panel, and this man always brings us incredible insight. We're so happy he can join us, even though I wish we were talking about World Cup qualification and not going back to a playoff again 4 years later. Vito Doria joins us from Forza Italian Football. Vito, thank you so much for taking some time down under. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right, Alex. I'm glad to be back on your pod. It's been a while, so I think I was overdue for a return. But yeah, it's just a shame that Italy weren't able to seal qualification. And I think it's another case of Italy having their backs against the wall. So hopefully it's a case of history repeating itself, and the Azzurri prove us wrong once again.
Well, let's recap this match, and I'll start with okay, so that's Chris is like an encyclopedia. He remembers every instance. Thank you for that. I'll start with Vito, and then we'll go around the table from Sean to Jerry. You know, obviously, plenty of missed opportunities for this Italy side today. Nearly lost the game on a couple of occasions. Northern Ireland had some great chances, including what was just a horrific sequence of Donnarumma coming out of the box and misplaying it. And then Bonucci was Italy's best goalkeeper. I mean, he was on the line, right place, right time, goal line clearance. So for as tough as this match was, and the result of a 0-0 draw, and like Jerry pointed out, Northern Ireland, they just don't concede at home. It's unbelievable. Italy nearly lost this game. So, Vito, I'll start with you. From the disappointment of this effort, what were your big takeaways? What were the biggest reasons why Italy just could not capitalize on their opportunities?
What I noticed was that although Italy had a lot more possession, especially in the second half, I thought the Italians were very passive. There were a lot of passes just going sideways and backwards. There weren't enough vertical passes, people making overlapping runs or breaking the lines. And the wingers in particular, the way Domenico Berardi and Federico Chiesa made their runs, I thought they should have just tried to run down the touchline and either put a cross or a pass down that way, or even just try to dribble around the Northern Irish defenders. It looked like once they got the ball in the corner, they were just trying to look for a teammate to pass the ball around. And I think the lack of pace as well allowed the Northern Irish defence to set themselves up perfectly, and Italy just looked like they were lacking in ideas and imagination.
I think that's a good takeaway. What about you, Sean? What were the biggest things you came away with from this one?
Yeah, I mean, Vito said it. Look, lack of imagination. You saw a lot of the passing, and the possession tells a story that wasn't, quite frankly, indicative of the match whatsoever. Italy dominated possession, but Northern Ireland was happy to give it to them because there was no threat whatsoever. So they were behind the ball, but we made their lives pretty easy. Very little movement from anybody in attack. I mean, you saw it, and this is no knock on Insigne. He's playing in a role that, quite frankly, especially in this match where we're trying to play the long ball into a guy that's 4'10". I mean, so. By any means, even if our wingers were attacking and crossing the ball in the pitch, like there's who's going to put a head on it. So I think again, if the strategy is to do that, then you need somebody like a Belotti or a Samaka or somebody with some height and ability to play it with his head. So for me, it was a lot of standing around. It was a lot of passive passing back and forth. It was zero urgency. When you saw some urgency towards the end, it was just scattered, and again, little ideas, little plan of attack. And so it looked like a team so far and away from anything that we saw over the summer that, it was really, and I know we'll talk about Cheeto, but, regardless of who's in there, regardless of injury, I mean, everybody on the field has practiced and has gotten enough reps in, has had their caps I want to say maybe Tonali was the only one who hasn't really featured, on this side, and so there's really no excuse to look that poor.
Yeah. What about you, Jerry? Your biggest takeaways from this match, and then you can also give me an idea from your perspective, and then I want Sean's as well on this because you guys are my go-tos when it comes to all things Lazio and all things Ciro Immobile, as to what sort of a difference Immobile would have made in this match. Because I obviously think he would have if he was healthy and available. He could have scored. I know he doesn't score a lot for the Azzurri, as people are very, very quick to point out. But I think even if he hadn't scored, I thought that his presence, his hold up, and his distribution and just his threat could have opened things up for his teammates. So I do think Cheeto would have made a difference in this match had he been available. But Jerry, what were your big takeaways?
Well, I'm looking at their schedule actually, and I think that the Euros and the season have really taken effect on this team. So back in March, prior to the Euros, we won 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, respectively, versus Northern Ireland, Bulgaria, Lithuania. And then we go into the Euros. We have our remarkable stretch. We go through a Cinderella story. And then all of a sudden, it's done. And then we go back to World Cup qualifier. And what happens now? That magical run is gone. That spark is gone because we won the Euros. So everyone forgets about how it's like to be everyone versus Italy. It's no longer everyone versus Italy. It's become everyone versus England because of what they did in London, all the destruction, they're racist, they're blah, blah, blah. You go all that. So what happens after? Well, we tie 1-1, we tie 0-0 versus Bulgaria and Switzerland, and then we beat Lithuania 5-0. And then after the break, we go back, we resume, we tie Switzerland and Northern Ireland. Like, there's a trend here where we started off really hot because it was working out well. The team was fighting. There was something about that spark. And then it's lost now. And today there was no spark. There was no click. There was no drive to win this game. Like Bonucci is your captain, and our captain didn't have that, come on, like, let's keep going, like, let's go. I didn't see that from him. I didn't see that from a lot of players. I think the biggest issue was, I know many people don't like the false nine, and I know that Insigne is small. But here's the problem, okay? I'm okay with the false nine, even though it didn't work, because vice versa now. If Belotti were to start today, but why did we go to Belotti? Why did we go to a number 9? That doesn't work. We tried that 5 times. Let's try something new. Well, guess what? Roberto Mancini tried something new. He went with a false 9. He went with Insigne up front, and he went out wide with Berardi and Chiesa. Guess what? He's not going back to that anymore. A false 9, I've said on the pod, and I've said many times, a false 9 is perfect late in the game. Like I don't want to go off topic. Even like Saturday for Lazio, I don't like a false 9 to start the game. It's just something personally me. I always believe that a false 9 is a good way to change up your tactics. If it's not working from the start with your number 9, you change it up. It worked in the Euros, and it gives you a plan B, because we've always said that Roberto Mancini doesn't have a plan B. Like, that's what people say. He's always one way, 4-3-3. And I've heard Nima many times say that he always kind of gets too complacent with his one idea, and that's it. Well, guess what? During the Euros, late when it came against Spain, came against England, he diversed to the false 9, and it worked perfectly, because now it gives managers a thing to think about. Okay, hold on. Now I'm bringing on A, B, or C into a false 9 position. He's changing it up. He's changing tactics. Now your opposition has to think, okay, how am I going to counter against this? And you kind of have an advantage, right? So I would have preferred either Belotti or Scamacca to start today. I think Scamacca would have been a good choice. He's another number 9 option you can go and try something new as a striker. If you go watch the replays, guys, how many times did we do a long ball through the middle? Like, seriously, do you want to make Northern Ireland's game any easier than what it has to be? Like, Cherby making long balls to try to hit Barella. You got Bonucci trying to do long balls. It's like, okay, you do it once or twice, fine, but when you do it 10 times, it's so predictable. They're just going to cut down the spaces. Like no winger went out wide trying to attack to get crosses in. That's what I noticed. Like it was just so predictable. And yeah, possession's great. That's great. You have 65% possession, but if you're not going to do anything with it, it means nothing to me.
Yeah,
Absolutely
possession doesn't mean
nothing.
shit. And
man.
Chris, and like Chris pointed out here, he said their chances were better than ours, and they barely had the ball. We're lucky we didn't lose.
True.
And he's right. Like honestly, like the biggest thing that I look at before I look at possession, I look at chances created versus chances conceded. I think that's a much better measure of a game than possession. But what do you think, Jerry? Like how would this match? How could this match have been different? And then I'll get Sean's take as well if Cheeto was healthy and had played today.
I'm not going to be biased because I think there are two players actually who I think could have made this game more impactful. Spinazzola, yes, and I think the two of them together would have made this game much better for Italy. I say Spinazzola as well because their attack has really it's lacked an option like an out wide player who can actually drive the ball forward, kind of get the players moving up and creating that attack, open up space. I think that Emerson's decent, but he doesn't offer what Spinazzola does. Like he looks a step slower, not as creative, more defensive, I would say, Emerson. As for Ciro Immobile, I'm going to say right now, stop using him as a scapegoat. You guys are sorry. Anybody who blames Immobile, I have to say it, you're a fucking idiot. Okay? I'm going to straight out say it, you're a fucking idiot because it's so annoying now that he has to be the guy. Well, he's a number 9, so he has to score goals. I can guarantee you there are so many number 9s who have struggled to score on the international level, but yet have been able to help their team in other ways. You take Immobile out, guess what? Chiesa doesn't do what he did against Spain and get to drive up the middle and score that goal. Go look what Immobile does. He brings 3 guys towards him. Who's covering Chiesa? Absolutely nobody. Guess what he does? He fires a shot, open space, so much time. Like, you guys can say that Immobile doesn't score, he looks lost. No, he's not lost. He's making runs. He's trying to draw forwards towards him. He's trying to create space so Insigne can actually make runs on the left side, which he couldn't do in the last on Friday and couldn't do anything today. Like without Immobile, this team lacks an attack. And lastly, he draws defenders towards him. At the end of the day, he is a threat. Even if he doesn't score, the opposition are always thinking about Immobile, and he scores 20 goals for Lazio. This guy knows to score. And the thing with Immobile is that he can have the worst game ever. And in an instant, one play, he makes a difference. And I think Sean can vouch for that, where we've seen this guy be invisible for 60, 70, 80 minutes. And all of a sudden you're like, well, we didn't see Immobile. Where the hell did that come from today? Well, he has something in him. And like this, it just drives. And another thing about Immobile is he actually tracks back to help the defense, retrieves the ball, and gets back into opposition to attack. So I love to hear what Sean thinks, because I know Sean was talking about it on Twitter today. And I apologize if I offended anybody, but it's so annoying now because like at the end of the day, like it affects him. It affects to hear that he has to hear that, oh, he's terrible. Oh, he screwed up with Italy. Even when you win the Euro Cup, he's still an issue. You won a Euro. Now look, you didn't have him today, and now people are realizing the last 2 games how much of an impact he made. Like we had Immobile in the lineup versus Switzerland the last time, and we won in the Euro Cup. Today, the last time we played Northern Ireland, guess who scored the last goal versus Northern Ireland? Ciro Immobile. Like, it's just, I can keep going, guys. I get fired up, but I want to hear Sean because
Sean, get in there.
Yeah.
Look. I mean, the one thing is his effort, and so that's always contagious. You know what he does and his effort. You know, whether it's tracking back or making runs. You know, he plays for those around him. which gives people a sense of energy and it helps rejuvenate. I think the biggest thing when people talk about this 4-3-3 and why does he score at Lazio and not here? The difference with, and obviously he's just now playing with a 4-3-3 under Sadi. He's played it before, but under Sadi, there's a difference in the wingers play for Cheeto in service of him, versus when you look at a player like Chiesa, who's always looking to attack, and find goals. And that's not a knock. It's just a difference. Like, he's looking for the goals, and it's why Chiesa has scored some brilliant goals. But it's not to service the ball into Cheeto. And so he understands absolutely what his assignments are, and everybody else understands exactly what Cheeto is going to do. And so you saw a team today that looked like nobody had a clue what they were supposed to do. And so obviously Cheeto is going to open up some lanes for those wingers so that they can, ideally they're not taking shots, from the corner, which is something that like an Emerson really can be frustrating. I think, your point on a Spinazzola versus an Emerson is good, because, Spinazzola will provide decent enough balls and he'll beat a defender, but make that cross in or make the smart pass, versus an Emerson. Even today, I mean, he had, call it a half chance, if it was even that. I thought it was a really poor shot to take on his end. It's going to take some world-class finish that probably has a likelihood of like 0.005% chance to ever go in. And he's taking those shots, which, in a match where we don't have any opportunities, we can't be taking shots like that really have no chance. So it just looked like a squad that didn't understand what their assignments were. And that's why you saw a lot of passing back and forth between our center backs and then trying to dink in a ball over the top. So, I think, my biggest thing with Cheeto is forget the praise, because this isn't about praising Cheeto. This is about understanding that everybody wants to criticize and point a finger at him when things go wrong. And then when he's not in there, it's who else are we going to blame? And it's honestly, it's a lot of silence, and so when players, everybody else is allowed to fail. You see it, whether it's you name your players, like everybody has missed massive opportunities during this qualification. They've missed chances to score, but we often forget about that, and point the finger at one person. So, I think he would have made a positive impact, but who knows? I mean, what I saw today was a team that there's a lot of blame to go around, and nobody really got it right.
Vito, I'll give you the last word on how Immobile could have affected this game, and then I want to get some big picture thoughts from everybody before we wrap it up.
I think that with Immobile there, he at least would have added the presence. He still hasn't got a great strike rate with Italy, but I see the points that both Jerry and Sean have tried to make. Just having him there as the reference point is still a lot better than what other options we have around. You look at Italy, Bellotti just came back from injury, and I'm starting to wonder if he really merits any more call-ups, because I don't think he's done enough in recent games, or at least in the calendar year of 2021, to really merit a place in the Italian national team. Then there are guys like Raspadori and Scamacca who are in the team, but they're not scoring enough for Sassuolo. So I would like them to get their scoring numbers up for the Neroverdi in Serie A. Then you got someone like Moise Kean who's struggling to get into the Juve team, but he's been called up for Italy sporadically, and he can add some options. But I really hope he can try and get the starting lineup at Juve, overtake Morata, and find some goals for his club, so he can transform that into the national team, because Italy do need the other options. And look, when you look at club form, Immobile is still the man. He's got 10 goals in Serie A, so that's still more than anyone else in the league. And if you look at the next Italian, especially strikers, the next one is Mattia Destro from Genoa with 6. And I don't think he's been close to an Italy call-up since 2014, or even before that World Cup when he was at Roma. So it's pretty concerning when you don't have a capable backup. So I've been guilty of making Immobile a scapegoat myself at times. But the reality is, nobody else has clearly shown that they are worthy of taking the load off him or stepping up to the plate.
That's a really good point.
It's a great
I
point.
like that. I was just thinking on top of my head, maybe a playoffs is what this team needs. Maybe something to scare them. No, hold on. I know.
We've been
I'm
scared before.
I'm sorry, man.
Sean and I
sorry.
both reacted the same way. We're like, oh,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know.
Okay, good. It's good that I'm gonna. It makes it better interest for like conversation now. This team looks too relaxed. Like there's no drive in them. They're too like. There's no spark. Maybe they need a scare, and I know that it's not what you want to go through. I agree. You don't want to go through playoffs, but in the reality, does it become a Cinderella story again for Italy, where if they do go through this playoffs and they win, does it give them that spark again that they've been missing for a couple of months? Like maybe they need a scare, a reality check. Like I
Sure.
know you don't want to hear
if
that, but
if it wasn't if this was the first time this has happened, sure. But you know what was a scare 4 years ago, and you know what didn't
Yeah.
happen. It didn't work. It didn't wake that club up.
that was Ventura though.
So
And also,
but if-
like they should have played with a lot more passion today because they knew coming in this game was really important. It's
Right.
not like it's not like Switzerland needed to win their game like 7 or 8-0 just to pass. Like Italy knew that they were going to have to get 3 points and get a win in this game, and it turns out they would have had to win it 3-0. But they knew this game was important, and they still were lackadaisical.
I want to counter something here. Actually, we can. I think chemistry is key to this team, and when we look at the changes that they had to be made in the last 2 games, there were a lot of changes. And I was saying this on the pod yesterday. Like, if you're going to bring in 6 new guys into the lineup, your whole continuity, the balance is no longer there. You got 3 new forwards. You're changing up your whole forward line. So you got a false 9 coming in with Insigne. You're playing Bernadeschi. Sorry, you're playing Berardi and Chiesa as wingers. Okay, so now you have a new look up front. All of a sudden, your midfield has Tonali playing his first start. He's making his first start in the most biggest game of his life for the Azzurri. Who is he playing alongside? Jorginho and Barella. So you don't have Verratti in that midfield now. So that balance where Verratti is the biggest guy. I love Jorginho, but Alberto said this from All Juve cast that Verratti is the actual link to this midfield where he does like the attacking, he makes those challenges, he moves the ball perfect. And then your back line, all of a sudden you don't have Spinazzola, who was a big key on the left side. You don't have Chiellini at center back along Bonucci, which is huge. I think Chiellini is a big loss because offensively, he is a body who can get into the box and create chances on the attack. He poses a threat. So there are a lot of changes to this squad in the last 2 games, especially today, where all of a sudden the balance of what they've been used to throughout the Euros is no longer there. And with not enough time, and another thing is that the Euros, they had enough time. They're together for weeks. So they're training together, they're getting to know each other, they're building that relationship. All of a sudden that's out the window because your league starts again. You got to go back every 6 months or every 2 months or a month or whatever the heck it is. And you don't have that relationship bonding anymore. Mancini doesn't have enough time to instill new players into the lineup. So I think that has, and I know this is not about injuries and everything. Tired is one thing too, right? But I think this is just a different look Italy right now. And like you said, Sean, you said it perfect. A lot of missed assignments, people not knowing what they have to do, right? So I think when you look back now, you're like, well, you got a Tonali who made his first start and is adjusting with a brand new team. And you saw him pick up a yellow and he's tracking back and there were a few passes he made that were intercepted and there were turnovers. So, and look, he got subbed off at halftime. What does that mean to Mancini? That he was kind of struggling in his first game. And it's not his fault either because it's a difficult situation. He's 21 years old. He's going to go through learning curves, right? So I think there's just a balance in everything where Mancini was really, his back was against the wall and he had to figure something out. I don't know. I think that it's just unfortunate. If we had our natural starting 11, no injuries, I think this team looks a little bit more relaxed, more ready to go today.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go around the table on one more thing, and it's why I titled this episode "Did Italy Sell Their Soul for Euro 2020?" Because it's only been about 4 months, gentlemen, since they were hoisting the Euro trophy. We never thought that come November we would find ourselves in the predicament of needing to go to a playoff where 3 of 12 teams will advance to the World Cup. These are not odds, and they're not a situation I wanted to be in. And I had this thought earlier today. And it turns out I wasn't the only person by a long shot who had this thought. And I was talking on the phone with Jerry about this. And so, just so people don't think I'm plagiarizing, I do want to give credit to David Amoyal from Calcio Land, who posted something similar today. He says, it's okay. I honestly would have traded not going to 2 World Cups in a row in exchange for winning Euro in that fashion. And we know next is a Fugazi World Cup anyway. So that's the question I want to pose to you guys. And Vito, I'll start with you. I'll say my piece first. Obviously, I don't want to be, and Italy can still qualify. Like, I don't want to say I'm throwing in the towel on Qatar 2022. I'm not throwing in the towel yet, but going to a playoff gives me flashback of 4 years ago. So if you're going to ask me, would I trade qualification for 2 World Cups? No guarantee you win either of those World Cups, but just qualification. Would I give up qualification for 2 straight World Cups to win a Euro trophy? I think I would, because the Euro, I know that it doesn't get the respect worldwide. It certainly doesn't get the kind of respect in my neck of the woods in the States that the World Cup does. But people do watch the Euro. It's just a whole thing. But it's an important tournament. It's a big trophy. Winning that tournament, especially beating England in London, was fantastic. So if you're telling me if Italy qualify for 2018 and 2022 World Cups, there's no guarantee how far they go. I think I would make that trade. I think I would trade World Cup qualification twice to win a Euro. I don't know if I'm alone on this. Vito, I'll go to you. Would you make that trade-off, 2 World Cup qualifications to win 1 Euro?
Look, I respectfully disagree with you, Alex. But I think more than anything, just for David to come up with that suggestion, I think that's absurd, except for the Fugazi bit about the World Cup. I think Qatar 2022, the fact that it is in Qatar and how they got awarded the World Cup in the first place, I think that was farcical beyond belief, and perhaps farcical isn't the right word. It doesn't do enough justice to see how much of a joke it is. But no, the World Cup is the World Cup. Only Brazil has won more World Cups than Italy, so Italy without the World Cup is rather hollow feeling. Let's face it. I mean, 2018, bit of a meh. 58 was the emergence of Pelé, so I suppose, people can feel happy about that aspect. And then 1930 was the very first one, so it was a brand new tournament. And Uruguay at that time were known to have an extremely strong team. So, 30 and 58, World Cups without Italy, that's fine, but 2018, very hollow. So, no, I think that Italy had to break their drought at the Euros. It was long overdue. To be fair, Italy should have won more than 2 Euros already, but to do a trade-off like that, no, not in a long shot. I would still prefer to see Italy on the main stage. And if anything, what this shows is not that this is not a bad team. There have been injury issues, but I think perhaps after the Euros, there has been some complacency creeping in. Some of those who have been heroes for Italy at the Euros, they're not producing like they used to, especially early on in the Euro qualifiers before the actual tournament itself. I think there are a few players that need to sort of rediscover their form, or the older ones might have to say that it's probably time to hang up the boots.
What do you think, Sean?
So, Alex and Jerry, you both have some Azzurri gear on, right?
Yes.
I believe Jerry, if you can move your hand, tell me how many stars are on that bad boy.
4, right? No, yeah, 4.
Yeah, four.
I love how he has it.
What? Tell me, Jerry. What do those stars represent?
4 World Cups.
4 World Cups, not 4 Euros, not 4 fucking Nations League.
Nations League.
It's 4 World Cups. That's what we talk about here in Italy. This is 4 World Cups. You know, and I've heard you talk about Cinderella stories. We're not Cinderella. We've got 4 World Cups. Only Brazil has more. That's it. So for me, it's all about World Cups. You know, Euro is nice. Trophies are trophies. You know, and it's a very hard tournament to win. You know, arguably harder than the World Cup, but that doesn't matter. The World Cup is the world stage, and Vito put it perfectly. A World Cup without Italy is hollow, and winning the Euros was nice. You know, it was fun, made me happy, but I'm soulless when there is no World Cup. You know, and so for me, it's not a world that I want to live in, and it's not fun, and it's certainly a tournament that is less than when Italy's not a part of it, and we don't recognize Euros on our kits. So for me, it's hands down, it's a World Cup.
Man, it's the type of thing that I'm sticking by my case that I still am happy to win that Euro trophy, but I'm not going to argue with either of you guys, because I completely understand what you're saying. And maybe
it will be 12 years, Alex. If we don't qualify, it will have been 12 years of my life where we don't get to see a World Cup. The last World Cup victory we will have had, it will be July of 2014 against England, of all teams. You know, and so if we play England in qualification, it'd be no problem for us.
Yeah,
but,
apparently.
You know, 12 years of your life, that's insane for us not to get to enjoy the World Cup. So again, as fun as it is, as exciting as it was, my goodness, we can't go 12 years without seeing a World Cup match.
Jerry, what do you think?
Hold on, I need some time here because.
Oh no, are you gonna change your answer?
No, I just need something here. I need to see where the heck are you? God damn it!
I went to Jerry too early. He's looking something up.
Yeah, I'm looking something up for real.
Do you want me to fill some time? Hold on. So our
I'm
friend.
looking.
Our friend Chris DeSantis writes in, he agrees with Sean, which means he agrees with Vito as well.
Trying to find out. Okay, here. FIFA World Cup. Okay, here.
Not very good at Google.
I'm looking at Wikipedia. It's the worst thing ever. The thing, Italy's page is like 10 pages. UEFA. The last time we won a Euro, okay, it was 1968. For God's sake, man. Mm-hmm. The last time we won a Euro was 1968. I will take that because Euros are just as important. Any trophy is a trophy for me. And I know that you're not going to make... I saw Italy win. I saw Italy win that. I didn't see Italy win a Euro yet. I got to see Italy win a Euro. I got Italy to watch them to win a World Cup. And I'm goddamn going to watch another World Cup come 2022.
We're coming for the Nations League next.
So your argument is that you saw them win a World Cup and you never saw. So we've seen let's say Lazio had won Champions League and you've seen them win Champions League, but you had never seen them win a Coppa Italia. Would you rather them win a Coppa Italia because you never saw it than winning Champions League?
No, Coppa Italia is different. It's a bunch of scrubs playing in that stupid tournament. Euro has the best. Hold on, where is it?
By the way, Jerry's argument is so weak that I now agree with Vito and Sean.
No,
Jerry put me on your side.
Yeah, World Cup's only got Brazil and Argentina. That's great outside of Europe, man. Like the Euros is so. God, I guess I grew up cherishing all tournaments. That I'll respect whatever it is because you're playing the best in Europe as well. It's hard, man, because in Euros, we always took it serious. We lost to France, I think twice, if I'm not mistaken. We lost to them in the Euros, or once.
Once in 2000.
Yeah, 1998, right? Or
it was 2000. 98 was quarterfinals against France that they lost on penalties.
We lost a few Euros devastating in the final. We lost to Spain. That's right.
It was extra time that they lost in 2000 to golden goal against France.
That one.
Lost in the penalties to Spain, lost in the finals to Spain. But
Yeah,
again,
like
it's a hard tournament. It's again arguably a tougher tournament, but it's not the world's tournament, and it's not the one that ultimately, when you're sitting down and it's the opening ceremonies, there is just something special about that transcends everything. I mean, it is what the world, the entire world, is watching. Even in knock on wood that your Canada, gets to qualify, and the U.S. as well, and it's something special that when everybody, is glued into that, it's something special, and we can't not be there.
So we got Jerry and
I guess
on Team Euro, Vito and Sean on Team World Cup.
I think the team who want to be on Sean's team is retailers at the end of the day. Honestly, I think retailers. If I'm a retailer, I agree with Sean. I want World Cup. I don't want the Euro. That's where I'll agree with Sean, and it's really contradicting myself. But like I agree with on that sense. Needs to keep studying the Italian.
I want you to have that son of a bitch memorized by Monday.
But if you're a retailer, think about then Sean's right. 12 years without World Cup as rough. A retailer, that's rough now. Because if I know people who own like an strictly Italian, like City gear and all that stuff. And then when it comes to Euros, World Cup, like he did a crazy amount of sales during the Euro. But I'm pretty sure that when it comes to World Cup and your team's in it, it doubles. It doesn't single. Like that's where I think that as a retailer, they're probably at home right now thinking, "Fuzz, not another World Cup where I'm selling nothing again." Like it's tough to.
And also like bragging rights just for fans are really important. Like Sean and I are here in the States. And listen, I'll root for the U.S. men's national team, but the Azzurri always come first for me. And then if USA qualifies and Italy doesn't, I've got to hear from these soccer bros who tell me how great the USA probably won't pass the group, and everyone's talking about how great Weston McKennie is. I'm just like, this is killing me. We'll close the episode on this note.
I want to ask, what did you guys think about the subs today for Italy? Did you think anybody made an impact or wowed you? I thought I just have to say this. I thought Bernardeschi laid a big stinker off the bench.
Yeah,
big stinker. That's for you, Lucci. I hope you're hearing that, Lucci. Your boy Bernardeschi can stay home next time because if you're not producing for Juventus, I know he's having a decent season, but he's not having a wow season. Stay home because he absolutely did not impress me. I wish we can just bring that guy on just to take penalties. And then you can just say, hey, you know what, buddy? We don't need you right now. He can go back off.
Anybody but Jorginho.
Yeah, I thought Locatelli was probably the best substitution in today's game. I thought that he really tried to make something happen in that midfield. Belotti, I agree with Vito. Times come. But I don't want to write him off either because he had a serious injury and he hasn't played a lot this year. So that kind of has hurt him even with Torino. So I like to see how he kind of gets to come the next call up. That will give him enough time to try to get his game back up to level. And then I can say, hey, you know what? In the next 2-3 months, he's still out where he was before. Then Vito, you're absolutely right. His time's come. But I always think that injuries have to be considered because people are like, oh, they're pros. And yeah, who cares if they're injured? They can just come in. No, man. They're not. I hate when we compare these guys to doctors and nurses. Like doctors and nurses don't run 50 kilometers a day. You know what I mean? And it's not to take away what they do. I know their jobs are very. Do.
Come on.
Their jobs are serious. Seriously, and I'll say 100%. They should be paid like athletes a lot more incrementally. Yeah. But I hate when I have to hear that. These guys tear their bodies down every game. You know what I mean? Training with their club week in, week out, playing in key matches. And I think the last thing we always forget is that the players that on our team specifically, I know that every team goes through it, but I'm saying for our team, I don't focus on USA. I don't focus on Brazil or Argentina. I don't care what other teams do. I look at what Italy does. That's all I give a shit about when international play goes. I watch Italy and every other team. Oh, actually, I watch Serbia. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
For SMS.
I watch every Serbia game. Congratulations to Savage.
By the way, you were tweeting about Serbia the other day, and one of your tweets turned up in an intergroup chat that I'm in, and like they were like, "Why the fuck is this guy standing for Serbia?" And then somebody immediately popped in and was like, "Oh, because SMS plays for them." And yeah, bingo.
I've watched every Serbia game. Don't underestimate that team, please. That team has a lot of balance. It has a lot of firepower. I think they can go far in the World Cup. I really do, man. And what scares me now is that if Savage has a brilliant World Cup, this could be the end for him with Lazio because he becomes a selling pitch. And then people become more they figure out who Savage is because he hasn't played in the
World Cup. Get a lot of money though. He played in the handsomely.
Yeah, he didn't play in the Euros. He didn't play in the last World Cup. He did, but he was a sub. Like he wasn't. No one knew who really what he was. He said it in an interview yesterday that he was still young. It was 4 years ago, or more than that. I don't remember, 6 years ago or something. But three? Okay.
2018.
So he was still young. Now he's in his prime, and if he has a good season, I think Sean will probably agree that this might be his next season. Could be his last season if we don't sell him this summer, because like his stock value, or not this summer, the next summer. Sorry, or if he has a good World Cup in Qatar, like it's game over for Savage with Lazio. Like I like to hear what Sean has to say, but before I end it off there, it's just, guys, at the end of the day, every Italy player is a key player on their team. They don't get subbed off. They're consistent starters, and their teams run them to the ground. And we're going to run into the same problem next time Italy plays, where someone's going to be hurt because these guys are so reliant on their teams. So it is what it is. Go ahead, Sean.
I know Sean has to hop off in a bit, as do I. I love how Jerry has this incredible talent for when I start to wrap up an episode. He's like, but wait, I have something we can discuss for another 30 minutes.
I got Sean on.
It was brilliant.
I want to hear what he has to say about SMS because
all right, well, say a few quick words, and then you can vanish. Okay, Sean?
SMS, brilliant player. Obviously, you know, his stock would rise on the global stage. The World Cup, which, you know, is a pretty big tournament, Jerry. A little bit more important than Euros. But yeah, I mean, look, he wants to be at Lazio. He's talked about it, but at the end of the day, money talks, and performing on that stage more than any other is gonna hopefully bring in an offer that would help the club.
Yeah, exactly. No, well said. And Sean, thank you so much, and let people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Sean_McIntosh, or catch our channel at Lazio World. We do some stuff with some pretty great people. Stephen K. Moore, Vittorio, and Alistair from Lazio Lounge have joined forces, to do some content. So we've got Lazio Lounge podcasts coming out pretty much after every Lazio match, and we've got a lot of other stuff as well. So Lazio World, great content. We're on every social media platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Sean
Thanks,
McIntosh.
Fellas.
Have fun on Saturday at the game.
Yeah, I'll be at Rome for Lazio
so
Juve.
jealous.
So
yeah,
feel free to follow me on my channels and on Instagram. I'll be recording a bunch of the stuff leading up to the match, during the match. So you can find me on Instagram too.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Vittorio was saying that they're having difficulties to get tickets, and like maybe you can chime in on that. Did you have issues getting a ticket for this game?
It's really difficult. I mean, their systems are really antiquated. It's super old-fashioned. You can't buy tickets until match week. So we secure tickets. It was all through Vittorio, who was actually able to do that for me. And I'm going with a guy that does content with us, actually lives in Rome, who works for the club. But unfortunately they were able to secure tickets, but Vittorio had to do it for me from Rome. So he helped out.
Oh, that's nice.
Well,
I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great time.
Ciao, ragazzi. Yep.
Ciao, buddy.
Ciao. And Sean is he's been traveling a lot and going to a lot of games around the States, and now he'll be over in Italy. So be sure to follow him because he's very, very entertaining. And be sure to follow Vito Doria, who's very entertaining as well and very insightful. Where can people find your work, Vito?
Well, naturally, people can find my work at forzaitalianfootball.com. So these days, we still have our regular weekly podcast reviewing the latest Serie A action, but also we're on Patreon. So there are 3 different price tiers. There'll be a few bonus articles, podcasts, and other features from games as well. So there are a variety of things too. So we got our normal stuff and a few other bonus features. So FIF is the way to go. I do more longer features for breaking the lines. Otherwise, on Facebook, I've got a fan page, which I don't update a lot, I must admit, but I'm on Instagram and Twitter with the same handle, Vito C. Doria.
Awesome. Great work and keep it up. Jerry, I know week after week you're publishing thousands and thousands of stories. What do you have in the works?
I got a piece on Vedat Marici.
Of course you do. What is the headline? Vedat Marici, he's shit.
No, this is his last chance. I think he'll get an opportunity to start. I don't know how many times. I don't know. Apparently, Ciro Immobile can be back as soon as this Saturday. There's a conflicting report saying that he'll be back against Napoli. I think that I'll be more optimistic and say that he comes back versus Napoli, and he'll have an opportunity at least against the Euros in the Europa League to kind of prove himself, and it might be his last chance to show that he can make an impact. So I think his chances are very slim to none, and if he's able to do something, then it could benefit him. But it is what it is. I can talk all day about Marici. I don't want to talk about him, but yeah. And I got an interview with Kelly from Chivato from Napoli. She kind of was nice to do another interview in regards to Lazio, how she had just recently played them, and gave some inside feed about them.
Well, that's tremendous. So make sure you're checking out Jerry's work. Check out everything we do for this podcast. Obviously, spread the word about this episode. If you can do us a favor and hit the thumbs up button, smash the like button for us, and make sure you subscribe to our channel here because we want to get that subscriber count up on Calcio Connection. We post the audio for these episodes. It's going to be available within the next 24 hours on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, all the big podcasting pots. And we do have a Patreon page as well. It's mostly Inter content. So if you're an Interista, hop aboard. If you're not, hop aboard anyway. Patreon.com/Calcio Connection. We provide exclusive Inter content on there. And we're always talking about adding some more stuff. So we'll get some things in the works. So huge shout out to everyone. Thank you so much for making this episode a part of your evening or your day, wherever you happen to be. For Vito and for Jerry, I'm Alex. We will talk to you guys. We'll be back on Wednesday, by the way, on YouTube. Jerry and I will have an episode coming up on Wednesday right here on the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.